All right.
I have to shut off my video while you're exercising because if you say everybody stand up straight, if I'm the only one on, I know I'm not standing up straight. Not
Uh,
that you'd call me out, but you know.
awesome. Well, Johnny's sporting his University of Alberta green and gold, I see, but spent some time in Edmonton here recently.
Yeah.
Welcome,
And
everybody. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, John.
no, I was just gonna say, took a walk back through memory lane, going through all the phys ed buildings, Dan.
Oh my God, we're at the Butter Dome.
You betcha.
Oh, amazing, amazing.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, welcome back, everybody, to our pain-free movement clinic with Mr. John Sinclair. We're happy to be back. We were away for a couple weeks there with different things going on, but we are live on YouTube. John's going to walk you through three 7-minute movement snacks here today, and then at the end of the movement snacks, you'll have time for some Q&A. So just drop your questions in the chat whether you're here on Zoom with Carol or on our YouTube live stream. We will get to the answers at our end of our 21 minutes here. So take her away, Johnny.
Great. Thanks, everyone. If everyone hears me okay, correct. My audio is good? Okay, good. Awesome. Thank you. So we're going to start with just a little bit of rub and scrub, a little bit of circulation for the body. We're going to go to a variety of different spots on the body, really important landmarks that we rub and scrub and drive circulation into that area. Then we're going to mobilize the body for a little bit, and then we're going to integrate it with some motion and then a little bit of recovery at the end. So first thing we're going to do, let's start with a little rub and scrub on the arms, going into the head, and then we're going to go into the lower body. So first thing I'm going to have you do is we're just going to scrub the elbows. Get to the inside of the arm. Okay, then we're going to go to the other side. Get some circulation all around these lower arms. Okay, then let's go to the collarbone. And the other one. Okay, then into the sternum. Rubbing up and down on the sternum bone. Okay, and then we're going to go to the back of the head. All right, scrub the lower back. Right on the sacrum bones. Okay, and we're going to take your hands, go to the outside of the hips. So find the bone on the outside of the hip bone. Straight up and down. And tilt this down a little bit. Keep her up and scrubbing that. Okay, and we're going to go to the knee joint. Get right on the side of the knee. Get right on the front of the knee. Okay, then the other knee. Okay, right up and down the shins. And finally, we're going to go where your foot meets your ankle. You're just going to rake it with your knuckles. Okay, and the other side. Okay, so we did a little circulation. Now let's do a little bit of mobility. We'll have you standing on one foot with your hands on your hips. You're just going to reach forward like you're dipping your toe in the lake. Just test out how cold it is. Step and touch. Okay, and we're going to go to the other side. Other foot. Step and touch. Just a little more of a touch than a step, actually. Just reaching and touching. Okay, going to the other side. Now we're going to dip our toe into the lake just off to the side of your body. It's like you're standing on the dock. You're just reaching to see what it feels like in there. Okay, then go to the other side. Okay, then we're going to go behind us and then in front of us. Behind and in front. And you're just reaching and touching to let your hips turn a little bit. So we're challenging your balance, challenging the motion in the hip and in the foot and the ankle of your stance leg. Okay, let's go to the other side. Okay, so let's do some mobility in the hip now. So we'll put one foot further forward than the other. And we're just going to move your hips side to side. That was good. I don't know if you heard that, but my hip did a big crack. That was nice. Sitting in an airplane all day yesterday. Needed that one. Okay, then go to the other side. One leg further forward than the other. Slide your hips left to right. Nice and slow and controlled. All right, now that we've done left to right, we're going back to really long and wide stance. Here we're going to do a little turn of the torso. Rotate that trunk. Feel like you're moving the trunk, but at the same time you're feeling that pelvis decouple a little bit. You know, one's kind of diving down and in on that trail leg. Okay, then we go to the other side. Same idea. Okay. Following that same idea, we're going back to switch long and wide. You reach your tail back and then forward. Tail goes back and then forward. One more time. Okay, then we put long and wide again. Tail goes back. Notice that because of our stance, your pelvis can't go straight back. You can, but you'll kind of feel blocked. So you end up kind of opening your hips into this open space here. Which is great because you get a little bit of flexion, but you also get a little bit of rotation at the same time while keeping this trail foot flat. Okay. So you mobilize the hips. Let's mobilize the spine now. You're going to take your hands and we're going to reach down towards the ground. See how I round my back out? Then you're going to come up and you're going to finish in this position like I call no officer, it wasn't me. So you're going to go down, reach to the ground, come up, back. Tuck your chin on the way down. Unlock it, reach it up to the sky so that we get some motion in the neck as well. That coincides with the same motion of the spine, of that mid back. Okay. Now we're going to go side to side. So you're going to stay in that no officer, it wasn't me. And as you go, you're just going to reach your arms up to the ceiling. I know you can't see my hands, but I'm reaching up towards the ceiling. Not over the ear, straight vertical, tickle the ceiling tiles. There you go. Okay, and then this one, you're going to reach forward and then rotate towards the end. So it's like you're kind of reaching at, if you're aiming at your clock, you're aiming at like 10 and 2. Okay, and then we'll just do a little bit of mobility for the hips, pelvis, and spine. Just stagger your stance, not as wide as you were before. Let's just do a little hip circle. Going counterclockwise and then clockwise. So I'll tell you when to switch. You'll keep the same stance. We'll just draw the circle in a different direction. So this one's great because we get circular motion called circumduction and then of the pelvis. But what we're doing is we're also getting a response to the foot and the ankle, the hip joint, and the spine, the lumbar spine. Okay, we're going the other direction. Hold the same stance. Let's see how you do drawing a circle. Is your circle looking a little more odd in one direction? I find that my coordination is not as good going in this direction with this foot forward. Let's see what happens when we switch stance. So other stance changes and we do a circle. I think my counterclockwise circles feel better than my clockwise circles. Okay, and we go the other way. Oh, maybe that's just with my left foot forward. This one feels okay for me. What did you notice? Did you feel a little awkward going one way than the other? If so, we got to clean that up. Practicing this a couple times during the day is going to help with that motor patterning and then groove those movements. All right. So we've done a little bit of mobility. Let's integrate it with some movement. So let's go into some alternating lunges. It means I'm going to step with one foot, then the other. A lunge is I step and then I come back to where I started. Okay, so you self-determine how far you want to travel. Okay, we're going to go same foot, same arms reach. So if you're looking at me from the side, you'll see I'm going to go 1 foot forward as I reach forward. It's like somebody's handing you a sack of potatoes. Reach and grab those potatoes. Potatoes are good. Oh. Okay, so we went forward with that reach for the potatoes. Let's go sideways and reach for the potatoes. Boom. And you can kind of self-select how far you want to travel. You want to take really big steps. You'll end up grabbing them at a lower height because as you're stepping wide, your body's getting lower to the ground. So you self-select. Most importantly is that you don't change your rhythm when you step bigger and you have the same coordination and timing coming back as when you're stepping. It's kind of like our rule for movement. Just good rhythm and timing. Like being in the Gold Gym, Dan, doing our modern dance class. Love that class. Okay, now we're gonna do, we went sideways, now we're gonna open your stance a little bit. So it's like, if I'm facing 12 o'clock, my left leg's gonna go to 8 o'clock, just like yours will. And I'm just gonna step back and reach and grab those potatoes. Step back, reach, come back. Okay, and we're going to the other side. Just one more time. Good job. Okay, let's do a little single leg balance work. Have something near you that you can maybe put your hand on. I'm just going to bring this little box out here. Maybe it's the edge of a chair, something that you can hang on to just to have a little bit more security and balance. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do a variation of a bunch of airplane movements. So an airplane looks like we're gonna try to simulate looking like an airplane. Okay, so start with one hand on the box so you know where it is. We're gonna always be on the box, on the leg that's closest to the box. Okay, so that means my right, if I'm standing on my left, my right leg's gonna be off the box, and you're just gonna pretend to be an airplane and come back. Pretend to be an airplane, come back. If you feel more confident keeping one hand on, you can do that too. You're just a plane that lost its wing. Okay, two more. Last one. Really good. Okay, we're going to the other side. To bring my box or my chair next to me. Again, inside leg that's closest to the box is going to be your airplane. Last one. There we go. Cool. Now this one I call spokes. So our goal with this one is I'm going to stand to the side here and I'm going to reach and I'm going to try to reach my body so that I'm like the spokes on a bicycle wheel. I'm going to lean into it so my hand's here to help me balance. So it could be the edge of your table, could be your chair. So yeah. One more time. Okay, going to the other side. Give you a different view here. One more time. Very good. Okay, and now we're going to do one with a little bit of rotation here. So I like this one. This one's like a skater drill. You're going to take this hand and you're going to reach it down and across towards that box. You're going to rotate your trunk towards your lead leg and towards your chair. Feel a big stretch on your glute, on your front leg. Okay. Stretch or lengthen that muscle. Lengthening is loading. That's how we turn those muscles on. Let's go to the other side. So inside leg closest to the box. I'm going to reach this foot back. I'm going to reach down and twist or turn my body. Nice and easy. Last one. Very good. Okay, we're going to use your chair to do a little bit of stretching. You're going to sit down onto your box or your chair. And the first one we're going to do is, let's call this teacher's pose. Right? So remember, the teacher would always sit with one leg over the other, read you a story. You bring your foot so that it's perpendicular to the floor. We're going to sit up big and tall, trying to keep your toes running straight forward. Knee in this position. Wrestlers would call this a figure four. Just going to sit up nice and tall so you get a nice stretch into the glute and the piriformis muscle of the back of the hip. Okay, we'll go to the other side, cross the other one over. Sit up big and tall. Nice posture. Reading stories. After all that travel I did, I'm certainly tighter in these muscles. I got to work on this today. Good. Okay, put one foot further forward than the other. You're gonna point your toe up. Toes pointed up, nice and tall through the chest, and you're just gonna lean in until you feel a stretching behind your knee. And you're gonna bend your knee just a little bit, pull your heel down into the ground, and now you'll feel a stretch in the back of the muscle belly of the hamstring. Okay, just gonna hold that position. Okay, we go to the other side. Again, heels in the ground. You're gonna lean forward till it feels stretch in the back of the knee. Then I'm gonna bend that knee, drag that heel into the ground, and you'll feel that in the muscle belly. We'll call this the World Cup pose. You're sitting on your butt watching the World Cup. Do this stretch. Okay. Let's do one where I have to reach around my body. So I got 1 foot flat on the ground, one leg's out in front of me, sit up big and tall, reach around, anchor my hand into my lead knee. I'm just gonna stretch here for my lower back. Again, really tall posture, long through the spine, wide through the shoulders. Deep breaths. Okay, go to the other side. Heel on the ground, this foot's flat. Anchor your hand into the outside of the knee. Nice and tall. Deep breaths. All right. How do you guys feel today after that? Good? I feel awesome.
Awesome. Good job, Johnny.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. So, not a ton of questions in the YouTube chat today, but Carol, I wonder if you got anything over on your end. Since you're in studio today, you get first crack at it anyways.
Hey, always a good opportunity to learn. I appreciate that. I guess I just don't do that that 4 position enough with my legs because I still have quite a bit of hip pain. And I just don't do it enough, I guess. You know, I do the rub and scrub and I do those stretches. Yeah, I guess I just need to do a whole lot more.
Well, it may just be that you're just a little bit have too much tension to get into that deep range. So one of the ways that you could do it is just, you know, shorten your range. So instead of going all the way up here, start here. Right? And then I can start to bring my knee a little bit closer as I go. So you don't have to get all the way here to end range yet. Just even getting to here.
Well,
right?
it's not, I'm not tight necessarily. I can easily get to the position.
Okay.
It's just that in the hip joint is, you know, I just feel that tightness in there. I've always been extremely flexible.
Yep.
And yeah, just, you know, navigating my body as I age.
Okay. One of the things that you could try before the like preceding this one is do a hip circle. So where I plant my feet and do a hip circle. So it just helps kind of like lubricate the hip joint itself, because that tends to be the thing that limits motion. It's not necessarily the muscle, it's just the hip joint might be a little bit collapsed or compressed. So we do hip circles in both directions. And then I want to take it into extension. We didn't really do too much extension of the hip today, but that can help glide that. And then we go into now it's in a better position, and actually that made mine feel better, just doing those few little bits there.
Okay.
So that could be a way. So think of like mobilize the hip capsule, because as soon as you bring your foot up in that position, it's going to drive that hip capsule deeper into the socket.
Yeah.
Just the compression of like the force of it, of where you have to get it, just it drives that hip deeper into the socket. So maybe try that first, and then you'll give it a little bit of room.
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
try. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, we got one question only out of YouTube here, John.
Let's take it.
All right. So, okay, so I think it's a really long question, so I'm trying to synthesize it for you.
Mhm.
So we're getting the classic, how often should I mobilize my hips throughout the day? Because they have hip stiffness. And okay, whoever made this post, if you're still listening, maybe add a little bit more what you want. So let's start with that one there, John. Like, how often do you recommend someone grabbing like a hip mobilizer snack? And I'm thinking we're going to say as often as possible, but
Yeah. Yeah, as often as possible is you know, it's kind of like if you feel like your hips are stiff, you probably should already done them. So give you an example. I was traveling, so I spent a lot of time in a plane and in a car. And every time I had to stop to take a break, whether it was like running to the restroom or filling up the car with gas or changes between flights, is the first thing I did is mobilize the hips. So that is us moving the pelvis through all three planes of motion, and then the hip joint itself. Because especially when you're in a plane, you're in an oxygen deprived environment, you're in a stationary environment, but you're traveling at a velocity that gravity doesn't impact you in a normal way in sitting. So what'll happen is those connective tissues are going to get dehydrated, and then it basically all those muscles just kind of stiffen and they get glued together. So on Earth, so not up in the air, but when you're grounded on Earth, you don't have the same impact or the same amount of compression because you're not in a pressurized cabin in a circulated oxygen environment without gravity hitting you. And what I mean by gravity still acting on you, right? But there's a vector that's changing of gravity because you're accelerating in a horizontal distance through the air that human beings, our biology shouldn't be dealing with, right? Like that's not a way that we evolve and deal with it. So as such, and the way you can test this is a fun little trick, is you do a little bunny hop when you're in the plane. And what you'll find is when you jump in the air, the time it takes you to get down, you'll actually be in the aisle behind you, right? Because it's traveling faster than you are, and so you'll end up actually back an aisle. So I say that because when you're in those seated positions for a long period of time, those tissues get more and more dehydrated. So when you're traveling, I know it's summer holidays maybe for lots of you folks, get up and mobilize those hips in all three planes of motion more frequently when you're traveling than you have to when you're at home at your desk. Okay, so that's how the body has to deal with changes in physics. And then when you're at home and at your desk, my recommendation is try to do it every 3-4 times a day, especially when you're someone who's a desk jockey, somebody who's got to be at home behind a desk, working on the computer, that type of thing. What'll end up happening is you get so involved in your tasks and your job that you probably find yourself, holy cow, like I've been sitting here for 2 hours. So setting a little alarm to go off every 25-30 minutes, get up, mobilize them for 60 seconds, and you're going to start to feel so much better just doing that. And so if you do that frequently throughout the day, you don't have to invest a ton of time to it because you're doing it more frequently. That's the benefit of microdosing, right? Or exercise snacks, is that I can do 60 seconds here, glide that joint, drive some fluid into it, and then go back into your seated position if you need to, or get up and go for a walk around the block and then come back. So that would be a great strategy, Dan.
amazing. They haven't added anything to the question, so I think that's all we got for today here, guys. So we'll cut it a little bit short, 30 minutes. And don't forget, we'll be back next Monday, same time, same place. Thanks, John.
Go Golden Bears.
Go Golden Bears. That's right. All right, we'll see you guys soon.
See ya.
Bye, thank you.